Welcome to another episode of the Making of Champions Season 5. I'm your host, Coach Tyree Price, and today we have a special guest, a young lady who's done some tremendous things everywhere that she's been, and now she's won a national championship in her first year. Please welcome Coach Amber Williams from Pomona Pitzer. Yeah. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
I thank you for joining us, the program. This is a program that highlights different coaches, aspects, assistant coaches, head coaches, directors of cross-country track and field, just to really go out there how to build a championship program and the aspirations that you're trying to do. So we want to really highlight you. And I wish I would have got you before you won the championship, but my bad. But that's cool. That's cool. We can kind of dive into a lot of things of how you ascertain that championship, and so. First thing we want to know is just a little bit more about you. Now what I know is you were an 8-time MAC champion, and then you were All-American as well. So at Ball State University, and so from my understanding, your college career started as assistant coach at your alma mater. Am I wrong?
No, you were not. It started off as many of us start off working for free. Working for free, typically at your alma mater, just trying to get your foot in the door. And, just really wanted to put that time in, learn the game, figure out how you can kind of work the other side. We know what it was like as athletes, but, of course, getting to know everything behind the curtain, it's always a different process and a different journey. So I started off there. First couple of years was getting my master's. So, of course, completely for free, unpaid, and, side hustling before and after practice. So, yeah, did that, stayed for another couple of years as well. And was there for 4 years during the time with my former head coach as an athlete. At the time was Randy Heisler. So yeah, so working alongside, and then finally got to recruit and really get fully into it those last couple of years, and I think which helped lead me to my journey now and being able to be the coach that I am today.
Well, let's go back to let's stay with Ball State real quick. Moving from a volunteer coach and then being able to moving into the assistant job, the permanent assistant job. How was that transition of learning how, especially when you say with the recruiting and everything like that, now you had to add the other nuances of, rather than just to help with the coaching and aspects and meet management and everything, but yet now you had to add another flavor of going into people's houses and convincing them to come to Ball State. How was that transition for you coming out as a younger coach?
I think for me, it was actually very exciting. I knew what the team was, obviously, when I was an athlete, and, we were always kind of in the conversation and, attempting to, vie for a championship. It was always a little close, but no cigar, unfortunately. But I knew what I wanted to bring back to the program at that time, and just, maintain. I felt like, I had the pleasure of, being at the school during a very great time, again, where we had, these great champs and, most valuable performers and most awesome performance and things like that at the conference meets. I wanted to bring that back to us and put that back on the table. So, I hopped in that car and I was ready to put in those miles for those home visits. But for me, I think it was, I don't want to use the word easy and make it sound like coaching is simple, because it's not. But, it was easy for me to say, okay, I'm ready for the challenge, just because I knew what I was hoping for and I had a goal in mind, now being a coach versus when I was an athlete. So I think for me, it was just, I was just ready to dive in. That's more of what it was for me.
So now you came going into the assistant coaching job again. You were a sprinter, hurdler, coming into the fold. But then when you I look at your resume and everything, you had a heptathlete champion and everything. So now how was that to go into the field event side of things, going from being mostly known as a sprint coach or a sprinter yourself in your own route,
Yeah, it was. I had to do a lot of digging and pick a lot of brains during that time. I did have the pleasure of coaching a former teammate throughout that process. She was just coming in as a first year when I was a super senior. So, I had the pleasure of someone who already knew who I was and accepted me and appreciated me at that moment in time. So I think that's what made that relationship great and helped us help her achieve her goals. So but of course, me having a little bit of fear because I had to coach some of those field events along with the head coach. It was a lot of brain picking and asking of questions of, okay, well, what do I do here? What am I looking for? And this and that. So I had to absorb all of that very quickly because it was her final year when I decided to come back and coach. And I really wanted to make sure I made it happen for her and kind of put her finally at the top of that podium.
Yeah, cool. Well, now you did your stint at Ball State, and being at Alma Mata, you left and you went on, and you moved into a role at Colgate, a head coaching position there. Now, knowing that Ball State's in the MAC and everything, you went to another cold area. You like the cold.
I don't, but you do what you gotta.
So how was that transition? What kind of goes into when you're making level changes of where you're going and moving upward in the sport and in the profession? What are kind of some of the things that kind of spearheaded you to go to that position?
Yeah. I have actually a few people to thank who gave me a couple of phone calls who motivated me to make that push and make that change and take that kind of leap of faith. One of them being Gabe Sanders. Hey, Gabe, over at BU now. He gave me that phone call. He used to work for the former director that was up there as well. And he knew that the director at that time was looking to bring someone in to where he could finally, retire and bow out and say, hey, I did my time and I put my time in and, was getting ready to kick back. So, it's obviously very small liberal arts university. So, coming from at least a mid-major D1, obviously you're worried. There's some questions, but when I got that phone call from him, someone who had been there already and had that experience, I went ahead and decided to say, you know what, okay, I'll take this chance and see what it gives me. And then from there, he did go ahead and decide to retire. So that led me into, the director position and gave me another opportunity to learn a lot and, to create some growth within that program as well. And now I see what they're doing now and kind of how, the ball is still rolling with them and school records and, getting, folks to, that ECAC championship and IC4As out there on the East Coast. So, I was happy to kind of get everything going and to see that they were able to go ahead and continue it. But, just really making that move. Again, just knowing that you have to take that leap of faith. If you really want to grow, you got to get uncomfortable. So that's what had me make that move to upstate New York.
Well, now there's a lot of people out here, that are coaches that would love to say, okay, man, I would love to stay in one institution and stay there for the rest of my career. But yet, like yourself, I've moved around a couple of times and everything because, that's how you get better and progress on through and hopefully you learn a lot more once you go to the different areas and take those things in. So you go there and you do a great job at Colgate, and then you take a leave. You leave on and go on over, and then you go to another cold place in Cleveland State. And I'm like, man, again, you love the cold or you don't like the cold, but yet the job market takes us where it needs to take us, and for every segment of time, we take our learning lessons from everywhere we go. You're at Cleveland State. You're there for 2 years. How was that transition?
Oh man. It was a little bit familiar because obviously, or as some may know, maybe not obviously, but Cleveland State is just a women's program. And coming from that at Ball State, it was it was a familiar space, but something I had to get used to jumping back into again is just kind of, just having a women's program only. And knowing that sometimes that dynamic can be different and just learning how to navigate that once again. But it was, I would say it was fun for me to kind of, have a little bit of nostalgia of when I was, in college as well. And of course, where I started. And with that though, it unfortunately, it's like right when I was just getting into my groove, the pandemic happened. So and then learning how to work with that, that's what made Cleveland State a very unique experience during my time there. But I wouldn't say the transition was too hard. I mean, obviously, you're working with new people, new staff, a new department. You have to figure out, what makes everyone tick and how everything works in that space. But I was excited to kind of get back in the atmosphere of what was familiar to me, as an athlete, and was hoping I could kind of bring that energy to, that team. And, lucky for me, we were able to do some good things and, get some of those young ladies on the podium and, kind of rewrite those record books. So it was a fun time. Just, again, just always a new adventure anytime you decide to step on a new place.
Well, you're writing record books. You did it at Ball State, you did it at Colgate, you did it at Cleveland State. So now you go from Cleveland State and you go to Columbia University, again in another cold area of New York. And I was there and everything, and I left just before you came on board.
Right.
And you're coming in to also assist Marquis Stansel there. Then you arrive there, and then shock of the world. Yeah. And so now you're elevated into the lead role, the major lead role in the short sprints there. And you took a marvelous job with the program there in your time. The men and women sprints program elevated up even more. No diss to Marquis, because Marquis did a great job as well. But you came in and you had success, now everyone who doesn't understand the Ivy Leagues, like you and I both do, no scholarships. And the private school and the cost of attendance is so high. So how is that, you had to learn or do it at high level? I guess at Colgate was in the same sense of academic prowess, but getting the athletes to come in for no money. Wow. How was that? How did that transition come into you? And did you make that that thing talking to the student athletes, talking to those parents, like, listen, hey, you need to come to New York, Columbia University, to further your education and to excel in track and field?
Yeah. I mean, one, you definitely have to put out there, especially to those highly, competitive kids, that, this is a competitive space as well. You can get what you need out of being here too. We're vying for championships as well. Look at this record wall, like, look what they've done in the past. But yes, we do want to take some of these down. And we think some of these are, attainable, for, whoever you're speaking with, someone such as yourself. But, it's, you can get the best of both worlds kind of in that space. And so you have to talk to them and convince them of that, because it's so easy now, especially with, in so many spaces, some people want to go to schools because of a particular brand or name. And, because they feel like this is the only place where I can really experience, that growth, or this type of place. But no, you can get that, in Ivy League school as well. On top of that, get an Ivy League degree. And again, never any shade to anywhere else. I'm a state school kid myself. But, I think it's convincing them of that balance is really what it is just saying, hey, it's not just, a school for, the smarty yardies, as people might, think or want to say. This is somewhere where, the kids are getting the job done too. And you're going to get to that conference meet and you're going to see some major competition and kids who are going to the, NCAA first round of the championship. So, putting that out there first, and then just asking them to pretty much take a chance on, the school being supportive, of you and your family, and, trying to get you through the door. That's really what it is, because unfortunately you can't do anything on your side athletically. So, asking them, hey, just, take a chance on, what you could, receive out of this, what can the university, do for you? And, try to get them to figure out that they can get something out of the situation, and, at the end of the day, have a great student athlete experience. So it's a tough dance that you have to do, with those PSAs. But, if you get it done and get the right folks in the door, you can really put some great things together.
Well, this just popped in my head. So now this is I think it was a good question. I think a lot of coaches will try to really pick your brain on how you do this. Again, when you got there, it was Marquise was supposed to be the lead sprints coach, and you're coming in as the second sprints coach. We're also working with the jumpers, helping with the jumps as well. Now he leaves his position and elevates up. I'm telling you, elevates up to administration, and now you're taking over the whole sprints program, and where they've been, the student athletes who've been there have been accustomed to that training regimen and how he goes about it. How do you bridge that gap of coming into a new institution, and then now where you thought you were going to be in this one entity of how you want to operate, but now you got everything. So how did you bridge that gap with the student athletes of making the transition to your style of coaching? And then, as you see in the 2 years, the success rate that came from it.
Yeah. Well, I jokingly told them after the fact, the last thing I wanted to be is to come off like the evil stepmother walking through the door. and I didn't want to come in like so harsh and like kick the door in and just make it seem like, all right, it's my time now and this is how we do it. I really wanted to make sure I took the time out and had the awareness of getting to know them as people, because I did not have that same relationship that Marquise had. He had been through, the recruiting process with all of them, and some of them had now been there, for some time as well. And then once he elevated to administration, here I am. I've been there for all of 4 months, and these kids, young men and women, they didn't know me from a can of paint. So, I wanted to, make sure I was taking that time out, and I had that awareness to make sure I was spending some time with, each one of them, and, talking to them on a regular basis and attempting to figure out, what made them tick. And also, I tried to give them a voice as well. Is just talking to them and, just saying, hey, what have you done in the past, and what do you feel like has worked for you? And I want to incorporate who you are, in a sense, which in turn is who Marquise was as well. But they take that and they embrace that. So who are you, and along with who I am, and how can we meld this together and make it all work? So I really wanted to make sure that I gave them kind of a voice, through such a quick and harsh, transition, because again, they hadn't had the chance to really get to know me and who I was. So I think that's what helped everything come together is I made them feel a part of their training process in a sense. They knew at the end of the day, I was going to give them me and kind of what I knew too, but I didn't want to take away from them what they felt like made them and made them their best self. So that's really what I think helped us have the success that we had in those, couple of years that I was there. And plus they were just, great young men and women as well. And, at least open and not too adverse. So, I think that's what made it work and made some good things happen.
Well, you did some great things. The relays improved on times. People and the individuals and the 4 and the 2 and the 1 and in hurdles, they really excelled to another level, which opened up another door of opportunity, and finally to a little more sunnier or warmer weather.
Finally.
But on the other side of the country. So it took you all the way to from New York all the way to California at Pomona Pitzer, and you have really hit the ground running. The program has had some great things across country and in the past and everything, but you came in, was not picked to, well, the team was not picked to be top 3, top 5, or top 4, top 3 institution, and you went in there and made some changes, but didn't make any changes. But you went in there to change the mindset and everything like that. How was that coming into a team that won a few years ago a national championship, and then coming in like, okay, there's a new person coming in, and will we adapt to her style or philosophies? So how did you come in to bring in your philosophies, and then how did you create your staff to go out there and put yourself in the position of winning these championships?
Well, you know what, honestly, I think I really have to give it up to the men that I have on my team, to be completely honest. I remember, going through the process and just how open they were to the opportunity of me leading the program. They didn't seem very adverse. They were very open. We had a great conversation, up into, my arrival as well. So I really have to, give it up to them because, someone that looks like me, it's not, very typical for me to lead a men's program. It's just not. But, the fact that they were open to kind of this, atypical, look of what leadership could look like for them, I think is a tribute to who they are and their character for sure. So I have to give it up to those fellas. And then me, I think with guys, sometimes it's also kind of easy to just, if you come in kind of hype, then they're just like, yeah, and they kind of get on board. And I've always been kind of a very energetic. Sometimes I have to bring myself down, just because I do love this thing and I get very excited and passionate about my athletes. So, I think for them, it was just kind of like, all right, that's all we need. It's just, someone who's, as excited as us and, is going to give us a kick in the butt when we need it, or, be, our biggest, hype person when we need it. So, it was, easy in a sense to, step into that role. I think the tougher part was, trying to figure out, okay, how do we round this thing out to help them feel like they can, trust me and my thoughts and my decisions that will get them to the goal. And maybe it had a little bit to do with kind of the up and down wave, especially when I think about my current senior class that they had in their championship runs. They had won their sophomore year, was off the podium their junior year, unfortunately got 5th. And of course they do top 4. And then, to swing back up and win, it's awesome. But they had took that huge kind of dip when they were supposed to go back to back. And, I think that was tough on them. So maybe that's what helped and, why they were so open. But, they just knew they wanted to be back on top. And then finding someone who could do that and help them do that. It was something I thought about, kind of long and hard, but it didn't take me very long once I met someone who was already here to realize that we, fortunately had the goods already in-house. I had the chance to talk to, Emma DeLira, who was the distance coach here. She had originally been working with the women solely, but was ready to take on the challenge of coaching the men as well once she was promoted to full-time last year. So she wanted to take on more of a role and really have a bigger part in the program. so, that conversation just seemed so easy with her, and us being able to work together. And again, me always being a advocate of, changing up leadership, another brown woman of Hispanic descent, a piece of me was kind of, all for that. So went to the AD. She said, "Do we need a search?" I said, "No, I think we're good." And, lucky for me, lucky for us, everything worked out, in the end. But, the big thing is really giving it up to those guys who were just like, "Okay, are you gonna get us there? Yep. Okay, let's do this." So, and we, like you said, just hit the ground running, and we pulled it off in the end.
Well, how good is your relationship with your AD, who, they hired you, of course, but yet outside of that, once you got there, how was the transition and everything? How helpful was the AD towards helping you fulfill the goal of with getting with staff? And then, you already said kind of what that was with staying in house, but yet fulfilling the staff, fulfilling your visions of what you want to do to attain the championship mindset and championship culture there.
Yes, yeah. Lucky for me, we had a somewhat of a prior relationship. During my time at Colgate, while I was the director, she was actually a deputy AD at Hamilton College up there. So we had seen each other kind of in passing, academic social settings, or, when coaches, administrators, got together for, different events. We were able to, see each other and kind of get to know each other. And of course, we had, mutual friends as well. So, lucky for me, knew her prior. And so when this opening came, that's what kind of led me here and led me in this direction. But she's been super supportive of Emma and I. And especially letting it be known, like, I have your back at the end of the day. And she's been great about saying, okay, what do we need to do, and what can I, try to do my best for to make sure that, we're putting this team back where we want them to be, and where they felt like they should be. So she's been, super supportive about just, okay, I'm going to do my best to say yes to, whatever I can to, support, you and Emma in kind of this journey with the guys. So, the prior relationship definitely helped. But, her being in that seat and, saying, I have your back at the end of the day, and knowing that I can push forward kind of with a vision and with some desires for the team has made, being able to make this move pretty simple and comfortable. I'll use that word, very comfortable.
This is probably the first time I've asked this question to anybody on the show.
Uh-oh.
So I'm asking now. What are some of the things that you feel that are for your program? I'm not talking about anybody else's program, but your program, that are going to be successful in keeping the championship culture there and the championship mindset? So what are those things that you're looking to do to install that and keep that wave going?
That's actually a really good question. I think what I have to do, and I've been in these spaces, again, as you brought up, and as where, you're at some of these schools, which may be looked at as, not top tier, not as competitive, and, coming, from a D1 to a D3, there's always, the misconceptions that you have to fight. Now I think the trophy helps, but, to say, hey, like, young man, you can come here and still get everything that you're looking for. I've, coached athletes just like you from point A to point B. We can, hit every goal that, you desire. You can come here and I can, help you reach your goals, and you won't get, lost in a shuffle, like, or, however you may think you'll feel in another place. It's being able to say, hey, we've done it before, like we've done it already. So, you can come here and be a part of it. And when I'm looking towards the speed and power side, it's saying, hey, we already have pieces in place on the distance side. if you come here and you step in, like we're just trying to round this thing out and make sure that we're in the conversation in the fall and the spring, not just the fall. So I think, just getting folks who want to be behind something that's kind of already has a pretty solid foundation, but is still looking to grow. I think that's probably the cool part for some is, there's still some heights we haven't reached, and we still have room to grow, and we can still hit some more goals. For people who want to be a part of that, not just, wait at the finish line, that I think that's how you kind of keep this ball rolling here, is just saying, hey, like, foundation is here, you can come here and feel something solid, but know that the ceiling is still rising.
Yeah, you're a championship coach. You won as an athlete. You had some individuals win individual things. Now you've won as a team. What are some of the things that you how do you well, I've asked this question to a lot of coaches. You have that driven goal to be the best that you can be, and to try to and encourage your athletes to be the best, and then even for your coaching staff to be the best that they can be, and bringing in people who can help you see that vision through. Now, on the off side of it, how do you keep yourself sane and balanced between the coaching aspect and then your personal life and everything, to make sure that it merges together in harmony?
Good harmony at that. So just how do I keep myself balanced? Sheesh. I just try to make sure that, and I'm sure many coaches can agree with this, in what we do, our lives are so immersed in other people. And we have so many people around us that we have to make sure we're doing things for, we're taking care of. And, let me make sure I'm doing things in a timely fashion for the administrators. You don't want to make them look bad. You want to make sure that everything's functioning right. The young athletes that you work with, okay, let me make sure, are they okay? Is everything good? Everything fine? And now we got practice plans. Are we getting them where they need to be physically? There's so much that goes into what we do. It's not just a 9 to 5 clock in, clock out. You're dealing with recruits, you're dealing with their parents, you're, maybe even their high school coaches that want to be involved in the process. It's you're in contact. You can be in contact with 100 people a day and not even think about it. And that's the crazy thing about what we do. You could do 100 people a day without even thinking and not even realize it. So for me, it's just keeping in touch with myself and my own little fun outlets that I enjoy. Obviously, well, you know what? Let me not say obviously. I'm a liar. I've had some times where I've been up and down going to the gym. I would love to say I have been so consistent throughout my entire career. That ain't true. But, I make sure that when I can have the opportunity to get back to me in that respect, I do. So my mornings are definitely, okay, alarm goes off, depending on the day, 5:36, 6:30, my alarm goes off. I'm rolling out of bed. I'm making my way to the gym, and, I'm kind of, releasing all kinds of, tension, anxiety, energy, whatever I have in the mornings, I'm letting that go. And then I also enjoy, I don't know if I should be a little embarrassed of this, but I'll just say it. I got back into WWE during the pandemic. So, watching Raw and NXT and SmackDown during the week is like my little fun thing to do that I enjoy. I've been to the events. I have a belt. I've worn the belt. I've done the whole thing. So, I take that time to just kind of feed my inner child, if that makes sense, and keep her healthy as well. Because you obviously, we mature, but you don't necessarily always have to grow up, in a sense. You can find that thing that still, kind of makes you smile, and that you have, some fun with. And then, of course, just always having the opportunity to get together with friends and coworkers that you've gotten to know is great. But, if I'm just talking about just me, then it's literally, it's the gym. and it's wrestling. So those are my two things that, I'm just like, this is my me time, and I have a good time doing it.
Well, let's talk about the program there, and what are your, I guess, vision for the upcoming track part of the season and everything, and moving forward. Where do you want to see the program really get to its highest height for you? What does that look like to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, obviously keeping that distance side strong. I'm very aware of what pays the bills around here. So I'll be completely transparent about that. I know what pays the bills around here. So I want to, make sure that continues and keeps going. It was such a joy to watch them pull off the win this year. Especially after, kind of the disappointing last season that they had, that, like you just have that in you where you just want to say, yes, I want to keep this feeling. I want to make that happen again. And again, that's kind of mostly been the focus of this program, for a long time now. But, just kind of, again, like I said, filling in the holes of where the program has been in the past, and really kind of bringing in more of those speed and power athletes. Not that they haven't been here. We already got some great pieces and components that I've been having a great time working with since I've been here. But just making sure that, if we're going to, climb those rankings and those finishes at that national championship, that we're just kind of beefing up kind of what we already have on one side, and make sure that both sides are kind of playing their role, and they're all, coming together. It's not a us and them, we're all kind of melding together, for one big goal. And that's what I'm, most excited about, is to, beef it up. Like I said, keep the foundation, but beef it up and kind of continue to, raise that ceiling, and build this program up to new heights. That's what I'm looking forward to the most, is that, knowing that there's something here, but knowing that there could be more. So that's the big thing, I think, for me, just looking forward.
So not change, but additives
Yeah,
to
it's not changing anything. I definitely don't want to change anything, because obviously we have some pieces that have been working, so I don't want to change that at all. But just adding to, spicing up a little bit, however you want to put it. Just again, just making sure we're year round, doing our best to stay in the conversation.
Well, this is a segment of the show that where you got your time to kind of give us a shout out. So you didn't make it to where you are alone and everything. And I don't want to put people on the spot all the time, as far as, because I know everyone's going to miss somebody's name, but in love,
Yes.
I understand if your name has not been said in here, it's not a reflection of who she is or what she's about. It's just, we got a time limit on the show. so, uh, so I want to give you a small window of opportunity to be able to, people who've helped you along the way, and who have been mentors for you throughout, that you can say, give them a little bit of the flowers right now.
Mm.
It's on you.
Oh gosh. I'll try to go in order so I don't get lost. You know, I don't believe he's coaching anymore, but definitely have to say, my start with my former coach, and then boss, at one point, Randy Heisler, for letting me kind of get my start, obviously from there. And then, once I moved out to or moved up to Colgate, Arthur McKinnon, who eventually, like I said, retired, but for, taking a chance on a young coach such as myself, and believing in me so much that he grew me to be director, and me, being able to move into that space. That's a lot of belief. And if I can be a little transparent, I made that move shortly after my father passed away. So for Arthur to Art, as everyone calls him, to step into my life during that time, almost like a father figure-esque, it was right on time. I feel like everything happens for a reason. So I gotta thank Art for taking a chance on me, being there for me personally as well. Just a great guy. And again, Gabe, for, giving me the confidence to make that move. I gotta give it up to everyone over at Columbia, especially Keese. I had a great time there. Great people. those student athletes that I had the chance to work with them bringing me in. It was awesome, and I really got an opportunity to really feel some growth there. And then I guess just my coaches who are now just mentors, and that I've spoken to and picked their brains. Steve Rajewski up at Michigan, always giving it up to Steve. He's the reason I'm an 8-time conference champ, so I got to do that. And a 3-time MVP. That was him. And then the guy who kind of started that, and Steve just ran with it. Todd Lane down at LSU for sure. That's where kind of he was the first person to kind of push Amber into being who she eventually became. And again, someone who's no longer coaching, Brian Fetzer, he saw me in high school. So, and said, I think you'd be something. And I remember when I went to nationals, he said, he just kept smiling at me. And I was like, what's up? And he goes, just lets me know I was right. So, happy about that. And that he could see something in me. Sue Parks was also the head coach during that time as well. And then just other coaches that I've ran into during my coaching journey. Angela Goodman, Robin Johnson. Who else could I speak to? Obviously, I have a lot of friends, and I don't want to start going with the friends, of course, because I don't want to miss anyone. I hope they all know who they are, and I love you all dearly. But when it comes to just like coaches that I've had and mentors, I hope I've gotten to everyone that I can think of. And if I have forgotten you, please blame it on my head and not my heart. But, just anyone who's ever, gave me some advice. I love you. I appreciate you. And thank you so much. I'm not here, and I don't have one of those without you all stepping into my life. So I really appreciate it.
Well, you're here to hear, folks. Coach Amber Williams, Director of Track and Field Cross Country at Pomona Pitzer University in California. She's done a great job everywhere she's been, and if you really listen to her, you hear the energy, you hear the love for the sport, the love for everything around, and then even for giving out the shout outs for all the coaches and mentors and everything around there. She really loves and bleeds the sport, and she wants to see her student athletes elevated. She's been in a lot of academic areas where it's up there, so that she's going to make sure she's going to get those student athletes where they need to be academically. And then also you've seen it right now, and you've seen it in the past from what she's produced in the past, that she's all about making of champions, And so thank you, Coach Amber Williams.
Oh, can I give you one more?
Yes.
I didn't want to group him. I didn't want to group him with everyone else. My fiance. I didn't want to group him with everybody else, but I figured I'd throw it in last second. My fiance, who has always had conversations with me and been my biggest hype man during my entire career, or most of my career, and helped me think about workouts, and just don't overthink, don't second guess, you got this, yada, yada, whatever he needs to tell me in the moment, he's done that. And, really, of course, love and appreciate him. Again, help me move into this space. So I appreciate him. And yeah, I just wanted to give him his special moment. So there you go.
Now, made me piggyback on something else now. So now I've asked this to another a guest and how do you make, when I know where he is, I know where you are, that's a long distance relationship, but yet, you define everything through the love and passion for the sport, but then also for each other, that no matter the distance, that, it is still mends together for what you have to do. So how do you kind of make those things work for those who are in the coaching realms, who are looking at having relationships within the sport with another coach or something like that? How do you make those times, whether it's in season, off season? How do you try to make those things to make sure that you're giving each other time?
Yeah, there's a lot of understanding that has to come with this. There's a whole lot of understanding, because you may want that phone call from them because you're free, but they might not be free, you know, like that. Sometimes that expectation kind of has to disappear. Not that you don't want to have standards or, you know, anything when it comes to, you know, keeping your relationship strong or having some sort of foundation. But there is a massive understanding that has to come into play. You're not always going to be free at the same time. You're not going to be able to obviously see each other. If you're in different areas of the country or different divisions, guess what? Probably not going to be able to figure out if y'all can go to the same meets, you know, try to see if there's a way, at least I can see your face, you know, other than through FaceTime. There's just a whole lot of communication and understanding that has to come, you know, with dating someone, you know, in this world. And you know, when you do have that free time, though, making sure that you're making it a priority. Don't just be like, okay, well, season's over, everything's done. I'm not recruiting this and that, but you know what? I need some rest and I need some sleep. I'll call you in a week. No, like, because you already know there's going to be so many moments and so many times where you're not going to be able to, you know, see each other, and you're going to regret it if you don't take those open spaces and take that open time to say, okay, we both good? We good? Okay, all right. and figuring out, you know, okay, we, you know, should I come to you or can you come to me, or should we meet up? Like, how can we, you know, make something happen? So taking advantage of every opportunity you can. And again, just having a understanding heart and really keeping things in perspective is the only way you can keep it healthy.
Well, I know you have another thing in common. The wrestling is another thing you have in common.
Yes. It's his fault, but yeah, I'm gonna blame him. I'll blame him for it fully.
Well, you've had to hear Coach Amber Williams giving you a lot of nuggets on how, you know, and also just seeing her transition through from an athlete to assistant coach to director to back to another head coach and then to assistant coach and back in
Yes.
helm of a program. So there's different ways to go about it, but yet, you know, not all the times you're going to you may stay at the one institution all the time. So understand that there are always reasons for the madness, you know. And if you love the sport, then you really want to really go dive into those things, and don't put yourself at a position to where you turn down something that might be your blessing. You know.
Right, right. It ain't always gonna be packaged how you want it to look.
So we want to thank Coach Amber Williams for being part of the show. I really and thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm sure everyone out there takes some from you. So last, in parting words for you, I want you to give these old and young and in between coaches any advice that you think that they should know about this thing of coaching and making these championships.
Parting advice. I mean, I think the easiest thing to do that I see typically younger coaches, obviously, I think there's a lot of wisdom in, you know, some of the vets, but I've seen in some younger coaches, like, you understand that your cup is never full. Understand that things are changing every single day. There's a new something for this. It's a new science for that. So, you know, to really be a great coach, understand that your cup is never full. And then you'll be able to reach kind of your full potential. I think that's the only thing you can make sure that you constantly carry with you, is know that there's always something else that you can learn. Some people are kind of stuck in their ways and things like that, but you know, there's always something useful that you can gain from someone older than you, younger than you. It doesn't matter. You know, just keep yourself open to different possibilities and help yourself, you know, be the best that you can be.
Well, that ends our show, the Making a Champion Season 5. So happy to have Coach Amber Williams on the show. She actually strives to go and for more and more championships. Number one doesn't really satisfy us. You know, we're going for more of the championship program, championship mindset, and that's what we're here for, to give you the experiences, to be able to hear from these coaches. I understand their way, and hear their passion for why they do what they do and how they inspire while going out there leading programs and leading individuals to greatness. So again, I'm your host, Coach Tyree Price. This is the season of the Making of Champions, season 5. Please like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.